faces.
They all come out the woodwork.
Yeah, they do, rather. Your time at Leeds United, I imagine, was nothing but enjoyable, ultimately frustrating. It didn't quite end as you would have wished, though, did it?
No, it didn't. But I think as a manager, if you go into a football club and you leave the club in a better position than when you first went in, then you've done a job to a certain degree.
Mm-hmm.
We went in when they were in League One, got them promoted, had a fantastic period of time, and left them when there were only 3 points in the playoffs. And it was difficult to take because I'm a Leeds United supporter. Everybody knows that. I started my career there as a young lad, and I wanted to be the person that could take them back to the Premiership because the supporters, the size of the club deserves all that. No football club has any given right to do that. You have to work extremely hard to achieve that. We came very close the first time we were in the Championship the first year by finishing 7th. And you just looked in that summer, it was going to be a time really to build off what we'd done. We had a fantastic group of players. We had Snodgrass, Bradley Johnson, Kilkenny, Gradle, Becchio, Howson, Schmeichel in goal. And that was a top team. Unfortunately, we couldn't keep them players. We didn't add to the players. Wasn't given maybe the opportunity to strengthen like I would have wanted to. But you just go about your job trying to do the best that you can. Your hands are tied a little bit, and other people make decisions that you don't agree with at times. And unfortunately, the following February, you sacked after being 3 points off the playoffs still.
I mean, February does strike me
I like
as
the way you phrase that.
Quite right. But February strikes me as a strange time. You've had 3/4 of the season. You're sitting in a pretty good place. You got your team, and then all of a sudden the rug's pulled from underneath you. If it's strange for me, it must have been extremely difficult for you to understand, Si.
Well, it was a difficult transfer window, that January one, because there was a lot of talk about Johnny Howson leaving, and then he left on more or less, I think it was transfer deadline day. Yeah. And I was told that if we sold him, we would get the opportunity to bring 1 or 2 other players in, which never materialised. We played against Birmingham that night, and probably, excuse me, for the first time in a few weeks, we probably played as well as we had done, and we lost the game 4-1, which was hard to understand, sort of. And then the next day you get the sack, and look, you can look at it that it's a learning experience. I've certainly enjoyed my time there. I had a great rapport with the supporters. It finishes, and it's inevitable one day as a manager you're going to get the sack. I've got no problems with that. I was disappointed with certain things that came out in the press when I left, but I left with a lot of dignity, left with a lot of friends there. Move on, and before you know it, 19 days later, I'm back in work again.
It may be just coincidence, but I've noticed that a number of changes in the managerial seat at Leeds tend to happen around about the time the window closes. Now, as I say, that could just be one of those recurring things in history that's a coincidence.
You're just a conspiracy theorist.
And I wouldn't venture to suggest differently. It has happened more than once or twice. Was getting up, I'm wondering, was that bettered by going to Old Trafford and winning?
I think if you get a promotion on your CV, it sort of outweighs any one-off results. Going to Old Trafford, don't get me wrong, beating Manchester United there, with the rivalry between the two clubs, 9,000 Leeds fans there. We were in League One at the time, and it was just a fantastic experience. But to get a promotion for the team that you supported and how hard you worked throughout the course of that season was special, and we didn't do it in any simplistic way. We knew we had to win the last game of the season. 36,000 inside Ellen Road was an unbelievable atmosphere when that kick-off started. And then before you know it, we're down to 10 men before half-time. Max Gradle got sent off. 5 minutes into the second half, I think, or 10 minutes, we're 1-0 down. And you're thinking, God, how will we mess this up? But we made a couple of changes to the team. Johnny Howson scored with about 15, 20 minutes to go. And I've never experienced it as a manager or as a player, the atmosphere inside that place. We played as if we had 15 players on that pitch and Bristol Rovers had 8. The crowd galvanised us. It was an unbelievable experience. And then obviously we got Jermaine, who had just brought back in on that day after dropping him for 3 games, made him captain, scored the winning goal to get us promoted. So I suppose you can say it was never in doubt, really.
By the way, AFC Halifax have been on. Can you